Happy Thanksgiving! In honor of this American holiday, I am talking about 3 movies in which people unknowingly eat people. And the names of those 3 films are Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Soylent Green, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. First up is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. This is a 2007 Tim Burton musical starring Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, and Alan Rickman, as well as a couple other people you should recognize. It's based off of a Broadway musical of the same name, and the basic premise is there's this barber that wants to get his revenge on a judge, and so he murders a bunch of people while shaving their face. It's pretty good. I have seen this before back in high school, and I really liked it back then. It didn't work quite as good for me this time, but there's still a lot of stuff about this movie that I enjoyed. First off, the premise. I think the premise is definitely very interesting. The aesthetic of the movie is great. The whole look of everything, the costumes, the sets, all were just a lot of fun. The music, I mostly enjoyed. Not every single song. I definitely really loved anytime Helena Bonham Carter sang. She crushed this movie. There's just something about her where she really has an energy that just pulls me in. She has my complete attention no matter what. Alan Rickman was also incredible. Both of them could sing so well, but then also just their performances in general were really great. My main issues with the film, there was some really not good CGI. In particular, right away, it was kind of weird. They were just like in a void for a while, and then eventually they got to like the main sets, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I was gonna be real annoyed if it was just the void for the entire film. And then the other thing is, like, Johnny Depp did fine. Like, he didn't give a bad performance, both acting and singing. But I don't know, just like when comparing him to Helena and Alan, they're at a level. And then he's good, he's fine, but like they're up there and he's the lead and he's not up there. And it's like, well, I don't know. Part of it could be that I'm just not into Johnny Depp anymore. I feel like he wasn't the correct choice, though he was like peak stardom in 2007, so like it definitely makes sense why they cast him. Don't get me wrong though, even though I am complaining a bit, this movie's still good. This movie is still definitely worth a watch. My complaints could just be more of a me thing. It might not be perceived as universal issues with the film, so like, yeah, it's definitely worth either checking out for the first time or revisiting. Next up is Soylent Green. This is a 1973 Charlton Heston film, and the basic premise is, in the distant future of 2022, the world is facing overpopulation as well as global warming. So because those 2 issues compound everything, the world is facing lots of food and clean water shortages, as well as lots of other issues. But one day a rich man gets murdered, and Charlton Heston, lowly detective, is trying to figure out who done it and why. But maybe some other rich people don't want him to figure it out. And it's alright. I thought I had seen this before in high school, but not a lot of it really felt that familiar. What I kind of think happened is I started watching it with some friends in high school and then fell asleep and then woke up at the end of the movie, because I've known what Soylent Green is since high school for sure. So like, yeah. There's definitely stuff I like about this movie. I like the concept. I think the concept is very interesting. The world that they've created is definitely very interesting. I really loved the times when like Charlton Heston is just like going around stealing stuff from the rich guy he's investigating, just like, here's some soap, here's a clean towel, let me just wash off my face real quick with this beautiful water. Or like the times where he savors food with his bold buddy. Or like there's a scene where he gets to see what the earth used to look like and he's just taken by its beauty and wonder. And it's like, those are all really good scenes and really good moments. My issue is mostly just the movie's boring. Not a lot happens in the movie. I wanted more like investigation. Like he was going around doing stuff, but I didn't really feel like he was learning a whole lot as he went. So I didn't really feel like we were making progress or moving the story forward. And then like with this type of a story, you want the main character to be in danger because that's rich and powerful people who don't want him to find answers, but like it doesn't really feel like he's in danger ever. One of his friends dies, but it's essentially because he just chose to die because he like found out the answer to what Soylent Green is. And he's like, well, Screw this, I'm gonna go kill myself. So I liked the movie. Would I recommend it? It's fine. Charlton Heston does a good job, but like, nah, it's pretty skippable. And lastly is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This is a 1986 film and a direct sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a film that I watched last year and I enjoyed. That was a good movie. This movie, on the other hand, I really did not care for. They decided to really go into the camp with this, and it's just an over-the-top dark comedy. And like, I think there's a chance I could have liked it had I been intoxicated and been with friends and like really understood that this movie is not a well-made movie and that it's just trying really hard to be funny and gross and disgusting, and it's not really trying to be scary at all. Like, it's a great example of how shitty this movie is. I'm gonna talk about the first scene. The first scene starts off with these two douchebags driving through the country, wrecking havoc, shooting guns off, and then they decide to call a local radio station and just berate the radio host. And instead of just hanging up on him, she demands that they hang up on her because for some reason the phone call won't disconnect unless they hang up on her. That's not how phones work. Okay, let's just say that that is how phones work. Both parties had to intentionally disconnect, otherwise it's not going to disconnect. She didn't have to continue to talk to them. She could have just set the phone down and not continued to speak with them. It's not that hard. Here's what you do. Oh, you're being an asshole. And then you're good. You're good. You don't hear anything. You're not worried about anything. That's all she had to do. But no, she had to keep talking to them. I get why they wanted her to keep talking to them is because they wanted her to hear them get murdered by the Chainsaw family. Well, all you had to do was just make her actually interested in what they were saying and doing. You can still have them be douchebags, but like, just write the scene better so that she was intrigued by them, not really fucking annoyed by them. I will give it credit that at times it was kind of creepy, but like scenes just went on for way too long. So yeah, I didn't care for this movie. It went too absurd, it went too campy and ridiculous. Yeah, no, it did not work for me. Alright, now for today's rankings. First up we got Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, sitting at number 112 in the quite-like section. And then after that is Soylent Green, sitting at number 183 in the liked section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully fucking so, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, sitting at 237 in the didn't like section. And this is a total of 246 old movies so far this year.